We're going through the workbook lessons and just letting our mind be infused with the love and universal agape love of Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and opening our hearts to the love of God. And today we have lesson 96. Salvation comes from my one Christ self. Although you are one self, you experience yourself as two, as both good and evil, loving and hating, mind and body. This sense of being split into opposites induces feelings of acute and constant conflict and leads to frantic attempts to reconcile the contradictory aspects of this self-perception. You have sought many such solutions, and none of them has worked. The opposites you see in you will never be compatible, but one exists. The fact that truth and illusion cannot be reconciled, no matter how you try, what means you use, and where you see the problem, must be accepted if you would be saved. Until you have accepted this, you will attempt an endless list of goals you cannot reach, a senseless series of expenditures of time and effort, hopefulness and doubt, each one as futile as the one before, and failing as the next one surely will. Problems that have no meaning cannot be resolved within the framework they are set. Two selves in conflict could not be resolved, and good and evil have no meeting place. The self you made can never be your Christ self, nor can your Christ self be split in two and still be what it is and must forever be. A mind and body cannot both exist. Make no attempt to reconcile the two, for one denies the other can be real. If you are physical, your mind is gone from your self-concept, for it has no place in which it could be really part of you. If you are spirit, then the body must be meaningless to your reality. Spirit makes use of mind as means to find its Christ self-expression, and the mind which serves the spirit is at peace and filled with joy. Its power comes from spirit, and it is fulfilling happily its function here. Yet mind can also see itself divorced from spirit and perceive itself within a body it confuses with itself. Without its function, then, it has no peace, and happiness is alien to its thoughts. Yet mind, apart from spirit, cannot think. It has denied its source of strength and sees itself as helpless, limited, and weak. Dissociated from its function now, it thinks it is alone and separate, attacked by armies massed against itself and hiding in the body's frail support. Now must it reconcile unlike with like, for this is what it thinks that it is for. Waste no more time on this. Who can resolve the senseless conflicts which a dream presents? What could the resolution mean in truth? What purpose could it serve? What is it for? Salvation cannot make illusions real, nor solve a problem that does not exist. Perhaps you hope it can. Yet would you have God's plan for the release of his dear Son bring pain to him and fail to set him free? Your Christ self retains its thoughts, and they remain within your mind and in the mind of God. The Holy Spirit holds salvation in your mind and offers it the way to peace. Salvation is a thought you share with God because his voice accepted it for you and answered in your name that it was done. Thus is salvation kept among the thoughts your Christ self holds dear and cherishes for you. We will attempt today to find this thought whose presence in your mind is guaranteed by him who speaks to you from your one Christ self. Our hourly 5-minute practicing will be a search for him within your mind. Salvation comes from this one Christ self through him who is the bridge between your mind and it. Wait patiently and let him speak to you about your Christ self and what your mind can do, restored to it and free to serve its will. Begin with saying this: salvation comes from my one Christ self. Its thoughts are mine to use. Then seek its thoughts and claim them as your own. These are your own thoughts, your own real thoughts that you have denied, and let your mind go wandering in a world of dreams to find illusions in their place. Here are your thoughts, the only ones you have. Salvation is among them. Find it there. If you succeed, the thoughts that come to you will tell you you are saved and that your mind has found the function that it sought to lose. Your Christ self will welcome it and give it peace. Restored in strength, it will again flow out from spirit to the spirit in all things created by the spirit as itself. Your mind will bless all things. Confusion done, you are restored, for you have found your Christ self. Your Christ self knows that you cannot fail today. Perhaps your mind remains uncertain yet a little while. Be not dismayed by this. The joy your Christ self experiences, it will save for you, and it will yet be yours in full awareness. Every time you spend 5 minutes of the hour seeking him who joined your mind and Christ self, you offer him another treasure to be kept for you. Each time today you tell your frantic mind salvation comes from your one Christ self, you lay another treasure in your growing store, and all of it is given everyone who asks for it and will accept the gift. Think then how much is given unto you to give this day, that it be given you. Salvation comes from my one Christ self. So as we sink into this today, sink into the love, sink into the freedom, sink into the happiness and joy, the peace eternal, sink into it. There are some supporting ideas from the text. And basically, I just typed in one word into the search program for A Course in Miracles to see what Jesus had to say for us. And the one word I typed in is salvation. My salvation. Salvation comes from my one Christ self. From the text, chapter 1, section 3. Miracles are the way in which minds that serve the Holy Spirit unite with me for the salvation or release of all of God's creations. Chapter 3, section 1. Persecution frequently results in an attempt to justify the terrible misperception that God himself persecuted his own Son on behalf of salvation. Chapter 3, section 7. You who fear salvation are choosing death. Chapter 4, section 1. Of your ego, you can do nothing to save yourself or others, but of your spirit, you can do everything for the salvation of both. Chapter 4, section 2. Salvation does not apply to spirit, which is not in danger and does not need to be salvaged. Also, salvation is nothing more than right-mindedness, which is not the one-mindedness of the Holy Spirit, but which must be achieved before one-mindedness is restored. Salvation is a collaborative venture. And then section 3 of chapter 5, the guide to salvation. The Holy Spirit. He is your guide to salvation because he holds the remembrance of things past and to come and brings them to the present. You have not been asked to work out the plan of salvation yourself because, as I told you before, the remedy could not be of your making. This is not a lesson a son of God should want to teach if he is to realize his own salvation. Basically, the ego is not a lesson the Son of God should want to teach if he is to realize his own salvation. Whenever two sons of God meet, they are given another chance at salvation. Do not leave anyone without giving salvation to him and receiving it yourself. Do not see him, your brother, this way for your own salvation, which must bring him his. You have to see him in light. Believe you can interfere with his purpose, the Holy Spirit's, and you need salvation. If you did not have a split mind, you would recognize that willing is salvation because it is communication. Your will is your salvation because it is the same as God's. Salvation is of your brother. Miracles are merely the sign of your willingness to follow the Holy Spirit's plan of salvation, recognizing that you do not understand what it is. God's will is your salvation. You do not have to seek far for salvation. Never forget that the sonship is your salvation, for the sonship is your Christ self. Your Christ self does not need salvation, but your mind needs to learn what salvation is. Unaware that the belief cannot be established and obsessed with the conviction that separation is salvation, the ego attacks everything it perceives by breaking it into small, disconnected parts, without meaningful relationships and therefore without meaning. The ego will always substitute chaos for meaning, for if separation is salvation, harmony is threat. The real world is all that the Holy Spirit has saved you out of what you have made. Saved for you for out of what you have made. And to perceive only this is salvation, because it is the recognition that reality is only what is true. How simple then is God's plan for salvation? If you insist on refusing a request from a brother and experience a quick response of opposition, you are believing that your salvation lies in not doing it. Insistence means investment, and what you invest in is always related to your notion of salvation. Salvation is for the mind, and it is attained through peace. Any response other than love arises from a confusion about the what and the how of salvation, and this is the only answer. So there it is. That's the most wonderful line. Salvation is for the mind, and it is attained through peace. Wow. Okay, this is our lesson. Salvation comes from my one Christ self. And I thought I would play a song from Slava called Freedom. And this is from the album The Light of Truth.
reaches me, reaches me, as my lips kiss the sea, into the depth of the ocean. I dive to you, my love, to you, my love. I give my life. I give my life. Ooh, I give my life to you. I give my life. I surrender to your grace. I am without a trace, the long journey is over now. It's over now. I am the home. I am the ocean now. The side of freedom. The side of freedom reaches me, reaches me, as my lips kiss the sea, into the depth of the ocean. I dive to you, my love. I give my life. I give my life. Ooh, I give my life to you. I give my life to you. I give my life. I give my life.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's go forth in joy, remembering salvation comes from my one Christ self, my one self. Blessings. Journey well. Be blessed.